here's the thing, Carrie Ann. When all this stuff went down with you, I didn't report you to your job. I didn't file a complaint. But you know what? I am filing a complaint. First thing tomorrow morning, I'm adding my name to the complaint. I'm adding that you are accusing. You're supposed to be a mandated reporter, someone who cares about children, and you're accusing a man who has no charges, no nothing, no even incidents, a clean record, worked closely with everyone in the community, and you're trying to sully my reputation for content. Right. You're showing innocent kids on your live stream. Same thing people were accusing those who were reporting you. You're doing a live stream where you're showing kids that you say are in danger. You're showing their pictures. You didn't black anything out. You're trying to ruin somebody's reputation because you ruined yours. You destroyed your career, and you're trying to throw that into the mix. I'm going to file an official report. I'm going to add my name to the mix. You don't deserve to be in a classroom. You don't deserve to ever teach again. If you go on the way you talk about black men, the way you basically use innocent children as bait on your channel. She must have got bad news. Probably. The issue is your erratic behavior. No self-control. If I don't get the response I want, I'm going to get the media involved. Because it's the second time that you've done something like this. I'm telling you, every person that is running with this, I'm going to do my best to find every one of you, your legal name, and file complaints and do what I can legally. This is different than last time. In a much better place. Financially, socially, emotionally. And I got people who will back me because, we're not doing that again. We're not doing 2021. I told y'all.
Gerald, 100% on point, undeniably on point. And this is something that this suspended teacher from Tucker High School, the disciplinary suspended teacher, Carrie Ann, needs to know. When the first news report came out, they were talking about the situation. I don't believe any of them mentioned her name. However, Carrie Ann's dealing with a brother here that can get your name in the news. You want to be famous? You want to be known? He can do it for you. So be careful of what you ask for, so goes the saying, because you just might get it. Now, I want to make sure we don't lose sight of the fact. That there's been a primary goal that has been achieved. That is, Carrie Ann is not in the classroom. I don't give a damn at this point what she tries to spin as what went down. We know this is a disciplinary suspension. What other finagling she claims she did on the other end as far as insurance and FMLA, her ass is not in the classroom. And that is to be celebrated because it gives the students and the parents dignity restored. Do you remember what she was doing? Putting the emails of students up on the overhead projector and ridiculing them for expressing their concerns. I made the statement before, and I'm going to make it again. Teachers should not be emailing students. Emails regarding students and their achievement, regarding any of their behavior issues, regarding homework, should be communicated directly to the parent, guardian, or any other person who has been given authorization with respect to the student. These communications should not be between teachers and students, even high school students. This is another opportunity that Carrie Ann took to intimidate those students. And all the other students in the classroom who saw this would say, oh, there's an issue, so I better not say anything. Number one, I don't want to get the teacher on me, and I don't want my parents to be upset. It's important to recognize Carrie Ann is not in the classroom. That is the most important issue. We need to make sure we remain focused on all her other efforts to steer attention away from the fact her ass is not in the classroom, and rightfully so, is just more evidence of her irresponsibility, of her knee-jerk, reckless conduct. All of Carrie Ann's efforts to pretend that she has any sort of self-control were put into when she was on the job. She was perping as if she had it together and just burst at the seams when she came over to YouTube, thinking that there's nothing but a bunch of fools here. If I said it once, I'll say it a million times. Whenever someone starts saying things like she's trying to run this thing about TikTok and Rev G and kids, let her keep saying it. This is not going to do anything but self-implode onto Carrie Ann. Self-destruction is what she's known for. Was given plenty of warning, ample warning to stop, and she didn't. It made it very clear what was going to happen to her. The last contact I had with the DeKalb County School District was October 18th, and at that time a decision had not been made. It could very well have been. She got some bad news while she was on Remix's panel because she jumped off. And after she came back, she was even more angry and more determined to put out this bullshit about Rev G. Here's one thing that these demonic subjects don't get. They love dancing around the bonfire. But guess what? When each subject has to face the music, there is no chat there. It's going to be one-to-one. You're going to have to be answering to whoever you're going to answer to regarding your conduct. Same goes with Carrie Ann. This is why she comes back on YouTube continuing to self-incriminate. But I'm going to compare her to Tory Lanez in this respect. Tory Lanez was accused of crimes against Megan Thee Stallion. This is before the trial. And he was able to obtain bail, which is a constitutional right. The court will determine the amount of bail, or can decide you're not eligible for bail because of the degree of dangerousness that you pose to the society, or you're a flight risk. Also could be you have no connections to the community that would motivate you not to skip out. But having the hearing is a constitutional right. Tory Lanez had the hearing, bail was set, and when you are released on bail before trial, you have what's called pretrial release conditions, which are managed by the probation department. Obviously, you're not on probation because you haven't been convicted. Same with Tory Lanez. However, the conditions are set by the court and they're supervised by the probation department. The judge imposes conditions upon you until your trial gets started. And when the trial gets started, still, these conditions are imposed. What Tory Lanez did was violate the pretrial conditions at least 4 times. Taken into custody, the bail was increased. So when it came down to the conviction, sentencing phase, he wanted all of this consideration. He wanted probation. Was not going to get probation. He got the appropriate sentence according to the charges. I stated from the outset it was going to be 8 to 10 years. He ended up getting 10 years. It was very obvious what he was going to get, at least in my mind, based on my experience. Here is the comparison. Now that he's convicted, he wanted to remain free. Post-conviction conditions, pending appeal. But no, you're not going to be able to get that because you showed that you were not able to comport to the letter of the law, although you were facing very serious criminal charges. The same thing with Carrie Ann. Whether she has been canned as we speak here and now, and I don't know, and I haven't looked into it beyond the 18th of October, this is still going to follow her, coming up with these false accusations again. As an FYI, the false accusations against Gerald was one of the 9 areas that I focused on in my complaint against Carrie Ann. And I provided the documentation for that. So now you have the victim coming forward and making a complaint. This is not going to fare well with Carrie, not only for this situation, if it hasn't been resolved, but for the future. And I say future means when the state of Georgia takes a look at this situation, because the district is required to file a report, and you best believe I'm going to file a report. And I know several other people who are filing reports with Georgia's Professional Standards Commission. This arm of the State Department of Ed issues teaching credentials and decide whether or not one deserves to retain that credential or is subjected to any level of discipline. The only option isn't revocation, but in Carrie's circumstance, yes, revocation is essential. I'm going to cover that in another video. While she was out on suspension, her behavior is going to be scrutinized. And what do you think they're going to say about that? She exacerbated her conduct. The issue is what we've seen as the most consistent behavior Carrie Ann has exhibited: the failure to control those impulses and compulsions. She has no regard for the documentation that she signed in order to get a credential or that job. Retaliation is unlawful. Code of conduct is a must as to adherence. No regard for that. And filing the complaints against Carrie Ann did not do anything but accentuate. She does not have adult level self-control. It's very limited, very restricted range, specifically for the purposes of seeing what she can get. Very limited. Once she realizes she can't get what she wants, here comes a firestorm. That's Carrie Ann's problem. And she is the one that's going to suffer the consequences as a result of it. She was called back in and she piped it down as far as the content of her accusations. Now she got that phone call while on Remix's panel. Now she's regenerating these false accusations. So whether or not a decision is made, what she's doing now while she was suspended is going to be a factor in the future. And you damn well better believe we're going to be there. So if she wants to go ahead and retire, fine, retire. That will just be a civil case she's going to have to be looking at if she continues to run around here and slander people. It can also elevate to a criminal charge because the state of Missouri has a criminal harassment statute. I don't know if Georgia has a criminal harassment statute, but there are all types of options available to Rev G, and you best believe he's going to access every single one of them. What Carrie Ann has said about me never personally bothered me. My issue is focusing on the state credentialing, because her statements that she said about me actually impact the students. She never was going to impact me the way she so desperately wanted to. Look how she is acting, freaking out over Photon, freaking out over all of this garbage that she never in life would ever have control over. You certainly were never going to have control over everything that I say or do. It doesn't matter how many times she runs around crying and screaming, hey, yes, it's stalking me. She thinks by making these statements and calling me these names, that's going to shame me into what? Skirting away and cowering. The louder she screams, the more erratic and disruptive she becomes. That falls on her. She's being used. She's being made a fool of, and she's going along with it. She is a chronological grown-ass female. There is no excuse. None whatsoever. She is allowing herself to be used. None of these subjects give a damn about Carrie Ann. They'll be happy to pick up her garbage and run with it. But when it comes time to sit amongst that garbage that she's collected, none of you are going to be there. None of you. When she tries to get a job in the future, what do you think is going to happen? This information is going to be relevant. And the fact that she acted the way she's been acting while on disciplinary suspension means everything. I don't give a damn about what she's saying again about some FMLA, another scam. The fact of the matter is what she said is going to be a factor. She can't say, oh, because I have these supposed issues, what I say is not relevant. It's every bit relevant. It's the reason why she was suspended to begin with. So again, we're patient. Let Carrie Ann continue to run her mouth. Let me say this. Recently, this subject came up on the panel stating, and I still have my job, supposedly still working with the Los Angeles Community College District. This is the same subject that Gerald successfully won against in federal court. This is a subject who Gerald filed a complaint against and retaliated with all of this fraudulent crap with copyright. Made this statement, and I'm going, think about the magnitude of that. Supposedly, a grown-ass male has to be told by his employer to cease his anti-protected class discrimination on social media. Didn't even consider that somebody warning him for 2 years would eventually follow through. But let me tell you this, it's not going to take me 2 years. As soon as I compile all of these comments, I'm going to file my complaint. And then we will determine whether or not this subject really is still working at the community college district. If he isn't, I will make a point to find out who his employer is, and I will file my complaint. What's the justification? Number one, he primarily ceased attacking Gerald in the way that he had. It was a 98% decrease, but there were some other comments that he made that we captured. But now he seems to think he's safe coming after me with anti-protected class language. I am not waiting 2 years, and I'm going to use a different route that Gerald used. I'm going to go directly to the Los Angeles Community College District Board. And you know what I have in my favor? I don't know this subject, never spoken to the subject. I can recall only one email that the subject sent to me telling me about Catherine Brown was talking about me. And I basically said, let her talk. Throughout the entire time I've been on YouTube, it has been extremely rare that I've ever mentioned this subject's name. But he is the one who sent Breaking the Culture of Silence the most emails about me and Rev G. I told Breaking the Culture of Silence, tell me and we'll both know. Based on what he was saying, he tried to make her believe that we were rocking and we fell out, which is a lie. I don't even know this subject. So that's in my favor. This subject is the aggressor. This subject is the harasser. And he is the one making comments, anti-protected class comments. That arises to the level of harassment. All of your comments have been sent to me. And this is the most, I guess you could say humorous on one level, irony on another level. Going to these demon chats and these demon panels and writing these comments, even if the demon host deletes the live stream and the copied version doesn't come up with a chat, they were dumb enough to post his comments on the screen. So all these live streams that we have that were sent to me contain this subject's comments. I'm going to start with the community college district. You think I'm going to sit here and let you hold me hostage as to my rights? Well, you can continue on with your conduct and you'll find out. We are not going to be on the receiving end of your protected class attacks or your protected group attacks or your bigotry. You have to really think about what is going through the mind of these subjects who cannot produce content unless they're attacking people with protected class language, unless they are being bigoted, unless they are harassing people, unless you're trying to force people into sexual discussions, unless they are very clearly letting you know this is how they are, and they're trying to force you to participate in this madness. That is called harassment. That is called stalking. It is not stalking to file complaints and cite what subjects like this are doing. They hope you'll believe that. No way in hell would I ever fall for any crap like this. This subject is the aggressor. He was the aggressor with Rev G, and now he thinks he's going to get some entertainment value out of attacking me. And this is a word to the host, you demon host, who are allowing this idiot on your platform. You have to deal with YouTube. Notice how they come to other subjects, other demonized platforms, and put their platforms at risk. by using this language. They're not doing it on their platform. He's too afraid to run live streams because he knows people are watching what he does. He keeps moving around and changing live streams and changing channels. We have every single one of your channels. The evidence of how he harassed Rev G by continually posting his home address, showing his home on YouTube. That's evidence in my favor. People, don't let anyone ever make any effort to convince you that you have to put up with harassment because they insist this is an all-black space that has a code. Why don't you check in with Carrie who's sitting her ass at home right now because she didn't get the message. I don't know what happened with this other subject. I don't know whether or not he was put on suspension, but we do know he's no longer working with Disabled Student Services, where he's making all those discriminatory attacks against people with disabilities. You know I'll keep you updated. In the meantime, you know the drill. Buyer beware.